Welcome back to the journey through real-life mysteries and chilling true stories. And if this is your first time here, be prepared, because the stories you're about to hear won't just send shivers down your spine. They'll make you wonder what might be lurking just beyond what we can see. Don't forget to subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and share this channel with fellow seekers of the strange and unexplained. Are you ready? The journey begins now. An anonymous letter reaches French police in 1901. A woman has been locked away for over 20 years in a house. When they force open the upstairs door, someone lies in the dark, skin and bone, surrounded by rats, roaches, and human filth. Her name, Blanche Monnier, missing for 25 years, hidden in her own mother's house. And at night, she whispered, "Don't let her in. She hates the light." The phantom behind the locked door, the case of Blanche Monnier. In May 1901, on a quiet street in Poitiers, France, the police received an anonymous letter, no return address, just a hastily scrawled sentence in black ink. There is a woman being held captive in Madame Monnier's house for over 20 years. At first, authorities thought it was a sick joke. The Monnier family was aristocratic, respected, known for their piety and prestige. But given the severity of the claim, they decided to investigate. When the upstairs door was forced open, even the most hardened officers turned away to vomit at the scene. A vile stench, a mix of human waste, mold, and decay. A dark, windowless room, the light blocked by heavy curtains. And in the center, on a rotting mattress surrounded by rats and cockroaches, was a skeletal figure with pale, translucent skin, matted hair, and eyes that still held consciousness. She was Blanche Monnier, and she had been imprisoned for 25 years. Blanche was once a beautiful, intelligent young woman, admired in Poitiers upper circles. But at age 25, she committed an unforgivable sin. She fell in love with an older, poor lawyer, and worse, a liberal. Her mother, Louise Monnier, outwardly devout, inwardly cruel and fanatical, issued an ultimatum: leave him or be erased from the family bloodline. Blanche refused, and then she vanished. The family claimed she had entered a secluded convent. No visitors, no questions. The Monnier name was so revered, their silence served as proof. No one suspected that Blanche was locked in a pitch-black room, deprived of sunlight, clean water, or human contact, hearing only the rattle of keys when her mother occasionally delivered food. Blanche survived, if that word can be used, in filth and rot. She began hearing voices in her head. Once, she scratched cryptic messages into the walls with her fingernails. "I am not alone here. Someone watches me from the mirror." Police later found symbols drawn in dried blood, broken nails embedded in the wall, faceless figures, and a strange emblem that resembled a bleeding eye. Every night, Blanche told herself twisted fairy tales, stories of a princess not cursed by a witch, but imprisoned by her own blood. She spoke to rats, to the darkness, and sometimes to an unseen entity she called Madame Noire. She sits by the bed, smiling when Mother locks the door. She says, "One day, this whole house will be locked like me." A police officer later wrote in his notebook, "She looked at me, not with fear or confusion, but with a blankness, as if her eyes had grown accustomed to death. But I swear, for a second, it felt like she knew my name before I even spoke." When found, Blanche weighed just 25 kilograms. Her skin had fused to the mattress from prolonged contact with her own waist. As sunlight streamed in, she whispered, "Don't let her in, she doesn't like the light," then passed out. Louise Monnier was arrested immediately. She didn't deny it. In fact, she said, "That girl betrayed our name. She deserved punishment." Blanche's brother Marcel was charged with complicity but acquitted due to mental incompetence. The only real sentence came from public outrage, a wave of fury that swept across France. But the case was quickly silenced, buried by the Monnier family's influence. Louise died just days later in custody, officially from heart failure. Yet witnesses claimed she screamed through the night, shrieking that Blanche was outside the bars, smiling at her. Others swore they heard lullabies echoing from her. Childish songs filled with venom. Blanche was transferred to a psychiatric hospital. She never fully recovered. Though treated, she rarely spoke. Only at night did she hum old melodies, songs only her mother had sung to her as a child. She lived 12 more years and died silently. No funeral, no family. Only a young nurse laid a single rose on her chest. How could a person be imprisoned for 25 years without anyone knowing? Can prestige and power build a prison more terrifying than bars? Was the anonymous letter the conscience of someone who stayed silent too long? Who, or what, was Madame Noire? A hallucination, or something that haunted the house before Blanche was even born? And even now, might there still be other Blanche rooms hidden behind locked doors inside homes? That seems so ordinary. The file is closed, but the darkness behind the locked door is not. A man dies on a bus bench, eyes wide open, heart stopped, no visible wounds. Yet his brain's visual cortex shows damage as if he saw something forbidden. And the surveillance video? Everyone who watched it either died or disappeared. This is a true story, and whatever it was still hasn't gone to sleep. The Ones Who Never Sleep. The Strange Murder at a California Bus Stop, 2007. A man was found dead on a bus stop bench at dawn. No wounds, no signs of struggle, but his eyes were wide open, as if he had seen something unimaginable. And the surveillance video later caused 4 people to take their own lives. This is a true story that occurred on March 11th, 2007, at a bus stop in the South Side area of Fresno, California, USA. The victim, Marcus Raymore, 34, died under unexplained circumstances. Surveillance footage captured bizarre phenomena. That video, according to reports, was viewed by 4 investigators, all of whom died or disappeared within a month. The case was sealed. Journalists have since dubbed it the case of the sleepless shadow. Marcus Raymore, 34, worked night shifts as a security guard at a warehouse in Fresno. He lived alone, had few friends, no criminal record, and no known mental health issues. Yet, for about a month before his death, he repeatedly told coworkers he was being watched by something without eyes, but it still sees. On the night of March 10th, after work, Marcus waited at the local bus stop. Surveillance showed him sitting alone on a wooden bench, wearing a thick coat, head slumped in fatigue. At 3:14 a.m., something unusual began to happen. The camera began to glitch subtly. A mist-like shadow appeared behind Marcus, tall, indistinct. Marcus slowly lifted his head, eyes opening wide, and then he froze to exactly 3:17 a.m., a white flicker. Screen went black. 37 seconds later, footage resumed. Marcus was dead. When police arrived at 5 a.m., Marcus was still seated, head slightly tilted, hands resting on his lap. But his eyes were abnormally wide, pupils dilated to the extreme, unresponsive to light. No bruises, no signs of suffocation, autopsy revealed. No physical trauma, heart had stopped, brain activity ceased. Yet the visual cortex, responsible for image processing, showed mild cellular damage, as if the brain had received an input far beyond its biological threshold, the coroner wrote. This resembles death by witnessing something that should not exist. Police retrieved footage from the bus stop camera. The clip lasted 4 minutes. At the 137-second mark, a shadowy figure appeared, roughly 2 meters tall, no face, no distinct limbs. It stood silently, mere inches from Marcus's neck, for 37 seconds. The signal went completely dead. When it returned, Marcus was motionless. First to view the footage, Sergeant James Alvarez committed suicide 6 days later by stabbing his own eyes. His note read, "It kept watching me even when I closed mine." Second viewer, image technician Emily Cho, disappeared during a rainstorm. Never found. The other 2 suffered breakdowns and died of unexplained brain hemorrhages. A week before his death, Marcus visited a local church, asking to sleep in a room with constant lighting. The priest declined. Marcus left a note, "I can't sleep. If I do, I'll see it. And if I see it, it'll know I'm looking. Then it will be able to enter." A February 2007 medical checkup found no sleep disorders, but evidence showed he'd stayed awake for 40 to 50 hours at a time, in his room. Police found 17 charcoal sketches, each depicting a tall, hooded figure with no face. Below each drawing, a wide-open eye and the phrase, "Do not close your eyes." Independent journalist Lori Haskins investigated and discovered 12 similar deaths between 1992 and 2006 near western U.S. bus stops. Victims died while sitting alone, no wounds, eyes open unnaturally wide, no confirmed. Cause of death: 6 of them had suffered prolonged insomnia before death. 3 mentioned something that won't let me dream. The FBI declined comment. However, a leaked 2013 internal memo revealed a code name for the phenomenon: Shadow 17. On October 14, 2011, Lori Haskins made a frantic phone call to her friend at 2:39 a.m. It's standing right behind me. I'm awake. I'm not dreaming, and it still came. The call ended in static. She vanished. Her camera was later found, placed on the same bus bench where Marcus had died. In the final frames, just before cutoff, a dark sky, then a pale, eyeless face flickering across the lens. In 2019, YouTuber Ethan Will recreated Marcus's case using AI-enhanced footage. He uploaded a 42-minute breakdown. 3 days later, he posted a second video, visibly shaken. I think I saw it. In the glitch segment, it's not human, and I can't close my eyes anymore. He deleted his channel. All content vanished. An anonymous user later uploaded a 3-second clip from Ethan's footage. It shows a blurry, grayish figure, tall, faceless, but you feel it staring back through the screen. Does a supernatural entity truly exist? One that only comes when we begin to dream? What did Marcus see in those 37 seconds that killed him instantly? And if something really watches us from the other side of the screen, would you dare stare back? A 17-year-old girl vanishes from her locked bedroom. No broken windows, no signs of entry. Yet in the unused basement, investigators find a small bed, perfectly made, still warm, and a watercolor signed by the missing girl. Weeks later, her mother begins hearing singing under the floorboards. Every night at exactly 3:12 a.m. No body, no blood, but everyone agrees she never left the house. She just slipped to the other side of the basement. This is a true case, reopened by the FBI in 1993, and no one has solved it since. The girl beneath the basement. The strange disappearance in Idaho, USA, 1979. Based on FBI files reopened in 1993, still unsolved to this day. At exactly 3:12 a.m. on November 4th, 1979, a 17-year-old girl named Karen Riddle disappeared from her locked bedroom in her family's home in the town of Pocatello, Idaho, USA. The bedroom door was locked from the inside. The window was untouched. There were no signs of forced entry, and no one in the household heard anything unusual that night. But when her mother, Lynn Riddle, forced open the door the next morning, Karen was gone. Investigators confirmed there was no possible way for anyone to leave the room without leaving evidence. But the most disturbing detail wasn't in the bedroom in the basement. Long disused and never electrified, the police discovered a small wooden bed, neatly made with blankets, a pillow, and an open book lying mid-page. And most chilling of all, the blanket was still warm. Karen was a senior at Highland High School. She lived with her mother, Lynn Riddle, and her recently remarried stepfather of less than 2 years, Charles Henley. Their home was a 2-story wooden house on the western edge of Pocatello, near the edge of the woods. That on the evening of November 3rd, 1979, Karen went to bed around 10 p.m. Her mother recalled she always locked the door, a habit since childhood, after experiencing recurring sleep paralysis. That night, Karen seemed happy and mentioned she had a school presentation the next morning at 7:15 a.m. the next day. Lynn knocked. No response. She called out. Still silence. The door wouldn't open. It was locked. Charles had to break it open with a hammer. Inside, everything was in perfect order. The bedding was untouched. The window was sealed with an interior latch. Karen's pen and open notebook lay undisturbed. There was no sign of struggle, no blood, no sounds heard, no sign of escape, and most disturbingly, the pillow was still warm, like she'd left just minutes earlier. The Pocatello City Police arrived to investigate. Doors, windows, locks, everything was intact. But that night, as Lynn sat alone in the house, she heard slow, steady footsteps moving across the ceiling above the living room. There was no third floor, only the attic. When the police checked, they discovered one of the attic beams had been worn down, as if someone had been walking on it regularly. Etched faintly in soot at the beam's edge was a line of text. "I'm still here, Mom." Handwriting. Analysts later matched the script to Karen's art notebook with 97% confidence. The basement had long been locked. Lynn hadn't stepped foot in it since moving in 3 days after the disappearance. She finally descended. The air was damp, dark, moldy, but at the back of the storage hallway, in an area once used for wine, she found a small wooden bed draped in white linens, with a cream-colored blanket and a pillow. On the pillow, a few strands of light brown hair. Matching Karen's, at the head of the bed lay an open book, Wuthering Heights, the same copy Karen had checked out from school. The blanket, still warmed. Out on the wall above the bed hung a watercolor painting. The house, as seen from outside, but the sky was dark purple with no sun. In the lower corner, signed in tiny script, KLR. Charles Henley began showing signs of mental instability. He would wake at 3 a.m. nightly. Sometimes he stood in the kitchen sink, washing his hands repeatedly in cold water. Other times, he muttered alone, "I locked it. I didn't open it. I won't open it again." The police suspected Charles, but no physical evidence linked him to Karen's disappearance. That a mental hospital record from 1976 revealed he had previously been treated for repetitive hallucinations of a brown-haired girl standing at the basement door, calling his name. In a child's voice, that a psychiatrist described it as memory echoing from an unconscious dimension, but not sufficient to warrant commitment. In February 1980, the FBI took over. Agent Janet Howard led a team that installed low-frequency recorders in the basement. But on the night of February 14th, at exactly 3:12 a.m., one device captured a long female whisper. "Janet, I'm down here, but no one believes you." Janet froze. She had never met Karen. They had no connection. But the voice called her by name, matching Karen's voice from a school interview tape. The recording was sent for analysis. No distortion, no tampering, no traceable interference. Janet withdrew from the case the next day. In her final report, she wrote just one sentence: "The basement is not part of the house. It is a doorway." In May 1980, Lynn gathered all of Karen's paintings, over 60, and burned them in the backyard, hoping to end the nightmare. 1 week later, on the breakfast table, appeared in new watercolor. It showed the house, with an extra room attached, that didn't exist in real life. In the corner. K.L. It happened again the next week, and the next. A total of 11 paintings appeared over 11 weeks. Each depicted a different room, all resembling designs not found in the house. The 7th painting showed a submerged chamber beneath the earth, with no stairs or exits. In the center, a circular mirror, and standing within it, a brown-haired girl gazing out. In 1993, a woman named Della Vaughn reported that while hiking near Lava Hot Springs, she saw a girl identical to Karen, wearing a denim jacket, walking into mist, still appearing 17 years old, Della called out. The girl turned, smiled, and vanished. Into the fog, her camera captured only one frame, a faint silhouette surrounded by violet light. When developed, the back of the photo bore a faint pencil imprint. "Mom, I'm on the other side. But the basement, it won't open anymore." The Riddle home was sealed in 1994 after new tenants reported footsteps nightly at 3:12 a.m. Accompanied by candle wax scent and quiet laughter. The basement was filled with concrete. But during renovation in 2003, construction workers uncovered the wooden bed perfectly intact, blankets unstained, unspoiled, a temperature reading 6 degrees warmer than the surrounding soil. Karen Riddle's case remains open. No body, no crime scene, no suspect. But no one has dared to set foot in that basement again. The girl didn't vanish from our world. She just stepped to the other side of the door. Have you ever dreamed the same dream over and over, until you weren't sure whether it was a dream or a memory? House number 96 in Manchester stood abandoned for nearly 2 decades until a family moved in. Within weeks, they were plagued by insomnia, memory loss, and a strange time loop no one could explain. The youngest daughter drew over and over the same figure, a man with no eyes, no nose, only a smile that cut across his face, sleeping under the floor. When they broke through the living room floor, they discovered a sealed underground chamber. No doors, no windows, no exits. Yet the room was still warm, as if someone had just left. And on the wall, scrawled in ash, were the chilling words, "I never left." The Sleeper Under House number 96, Manchester, England, 2004. The following story is compiled from an actual case recorded by the British Anomalous Phenomena Board in late 2004. Archive ID, LGD 96A. Children's drawings, family journals, audio tapes, and the investigation report of house number 96 have been evaluated as consistent in detail, yet never explained. The identities of the family involved have been protected. However, leaked sources claim they left the UK in 2006 and currently live in Canada under new identities. One gloomy afternoon in late autumn 2004, the Walsh family moved into house number 96 on Leighton Avenue in the suburbs of Manchester. It was a 3-story Victorian-style wooden house, abandoned for nearly 20 years. All ownership documents were legal, and the purchase price was suspiciously low compared to the surrounding area. The family consisted of 4 members: Jeremy, father, electrical engineer; Eliza, mother, nurse; and their 2 daughters, Isabel, 13, and Amy, 7. That on the very first night, all family members experienced eerily similar dreams. In each dream, they wandered through a dark, damp room with cracked wooden floors, and in the center lay a man, motionless. Upon waking, each person felt as though they had dreamed it many times before. Jeremy felt especially drained and was consistently awakened at 3:11 a.m. every night. His old mechanical alarm clock also repeatedly stopped at exactly 3:11. A week after moving in, Amy, the youngest daughter, became unusually quiet. She spoke very little, but spent hours drawing in her room. She only drew one thing: a man lying face up beneath the floorboards, with no eyes, no nose, only a wide, stretched grin reaching ear to ear. Each drawing was the same, but the background changed. Sometimes the living room, sometimes the stairs, sometimes the ceiling, with ornate patterns matching those in House 96. When asked who the man was, Amy simply replied, "He's sleeping under our house, and he remembers everything I've forgotten." Isabel, the older sister, also began noting strange phenomena: doors closing without drafts, footsteps in the attic though no one was up there. She began recording at night using an old cassette player, capturing faint whispers in an indecipherable tone. By the 3rd week, the family began to feel that time was repeating itself. Breakfasts were identical to the day before: same food, same cutlery placement, same conversations. Eliza started keeping a journal to test this and realized each page was identical. Same words, same punctuation, even the same typos. The kitchen radio played the same 1950s tune, "Only You," at exactly 6:06 a.m. every morning. Even after Eliza changed stations and removed the batteries, Jeremy stopped sleeping entirely. He would wake at 3:11 a.m. and stand motionless in the living room for hours, with no memory of why he was there. One night, he found Amy sitting in the dark, eyes wide open, murmuring, "Today isn't the new day yet, Daddy." After Amy dreamed of being pulled beneath the floor, Jeremy removed the living room carpet. Beneath the floorboards was a patch of poorly poured cement, clearly a hasty job. When tapped, it echoed. Hollow underneath, he hired a crew to drill. Through and uncovered an old iron trapdoor. No lock, only an ancient latch. When opened, the air that rose was damp and unusually warm that a stone staircase descended into darkness. Jeremy turned on a flashlight, but the beam didn't penetrate beyond 10 feet. No one remembered who stepped down first. Neither Eliza nor Isabel were sure. A camera placed by the trapdoor recorded only blackness and a deep, low vibration, like breathing, extremely close. Beneath the trapdoor was a small, confined space, its walls made of porous black stone. There were no exits, no vents, no windows. Yet the air remained unnaturally warm, as if someone had just left. In the center of the room was a human-shaped indentation in the cement floor, perfectly sized for an adult male. No body, no blood, but the indentation was still warm to the touch. On the ceiling, scrawled in what looked like black ash, were the words, "I'm still here." Amy stepped into the room and murmured as if recalling, "We've been here before, many times." Following the discovery, the family began to experience memories that didn't belong to them. Isabel dreamed of being a medieval girl, locked in a stone chamber and forced to stay silent forever. Jeremy dreamed of being bound, toothless, unable to scream, with only a grotesque grin. Eliza's journal read, "I wake up each morning and feel older. Not just my body, but inside. I remember things I've never lived." Amy stopped drawing. Instead, she began to write. Short passages in her shaky child handwriting, but in Latin. When translated, the texts included phrases like, "He knows my name," and "He has slept too long." In March 2005, the Walsh family left the house in the middle of the night, abandoning all belongings, artwork, and journals. No farewells. When a real estate agent later inspected the house, he found a clay doll placed in the center of the basement room, with a face devoid of eyes or nose. Only a wide grin. 2 years later, a group of amateur investigators revisited the house. When they opened the basement door, they found the air still warm. Their recorder captured slow, deep breathing, very close. No one saw anything, but on the wall of the chamber, newly etched, were the words, "I never left." If you've ever repeated the same dream, are you sure you haven't already lived it? And if something beneath your floor is still breathing? If you were the last person to see someone alive, would you survive? Between 1991 and 1994, in the Scottish Highlands, a string of mysterious deaths occurred. No wounds, no suspects, no logic. Every victim had encountered a strange woman, seen only by them. Locals called her the Pale Woman, and if you saw her, you probably didn't live to tell the tale. The last person who saw me never survived. Highlands, Scotland, 1991 to 1994, police case files frozen. The story below is based on real case notes from Investigation File SC 9114 BL, maintained by the Highland Police Department, Scotland. It is considered one of the most bizarre and chilling murder series ever documented in the UK, marked by repeated victim patterns, no evidence of intrusion, no weapon, and no suspects. In 1994, The case was closed without resolution. In 2018, a VHS tape was discovered in the basement of the final victim's house, rekindling fear and unexplained theories tied to the supernatural. September 1991, Fort Augustus. The first body found was Callum Fraser, 32, a cold storage worker living alone. He was discovered dead in his apartment, door unlocked, body uninjured, but with all hand tendons and neck nerves frozen in a strange paralysis. The coroner called it a death spasm, never seen before. A few hours earlier, neighbors reported hearing Callum scream, "I saw her. She's here." But when they arrived, the apartment was silent. On his digital journal, the final entry read, "I'm not sure she's real, but if I die, find the woman with no shadow." No signs of forced entry, no foreign DNA, but the hallway security camera caught something strange. Callum stepped out at 10:18 p.m. and returned alone. Yet the shadow on the wall behind him didn't match. It was thinner, taller, and turned to stare at the camera. December 1991. Two more victims followed within 3 weeks. Frida McKenzie, 28, elementary school teacher, found dead in her classroom after hours. Same symptoms as Callum: frozen nerves, eyes wide open. Raymond Boyle, 41, bus driver, died at the wheel, still gripping the steering wheel, mouth locked in a stiff grin. All 3 victims shared the following: no physical injuries, no poisoning, no suspects or direct witnesses. All reported encountering a strange woman before their deaths, but gave no description. Frida left a handwritten note in her drawer. "I think I'm being followed, but she's not behind me. She's inside." March 1992. After 4 quiet months, the next incident shook Invergary. An entire family of 3, parents and a 9-year-old girl, were found dead in their home, sitting on the living room chairs, eyes wide, faint smiles, hands on their laps. No signs of struggle or escape. In the child's bedroom was a crayon drawing. A woman in a long black dress, standing behind a mirror, no face, just smooth pale skin. Below the picture, in a child's handwriting, Mom said, "Don't look into her eyes." Security footage from a neighbor showed the father, Glenn, shopping 2 days earlier. In the store window reflection, a woman stood next to him, but she wasn't visible in the direct footage. June 1992, Doors, near Loch Ness. A group of 5 tourists camping near Loch Ness experienced something strange. The next morning, they were all alive, but none could remember anything past 10 p.m. the previous night. One of them, Leo, was found sitting by the lake, staring into the water. He held a notebook with scattered writing. "I saw her. I think I'm next. But I didn't die because I didn't look into her eyes." Their travel cam recorded a short blurry clip. In the final second before the camera shut off, a pale figure stood in the woods, not moving, no face, seemingly staring straight into the lens. October 1993. Case files showed a recurring pattern. Every victim was last seen alive by someone, but that person never remembered the final interaction. That a co-worker had lunch with Callum, but forgot the conversation. That a neighbor spoke with Frida, but didn't recall going home. That a traffic officer stopped Raymond, but couldn't remember the route. These final witnesses had one thing in common: no memory, and surveillance never captured the woman. Police dubbed her the Pale Woman. With no evidence, investigations stalled. Locals began whispering, "If you see her, you won't live to tell the tale." 2018, Raymond Boyle's house under demolition. During basement cleanup, workers found a rusted box buried in concrete. Inside, a moldy VHS tape. Police restored it and played it. The 5-minute video showed a living room, likely filmed by Raymond himself. Near the end, the camera turned to a mirror. Everything seemed normal until the final second. A woman appeared behind Raymond, reflected in the mirror. Her face obscured, long dark hair over her shoulders. And most disturbing, her eyes were completely white. No pupils, no emotion. The last moment before the tape ended, she lifted her head and stared directly at the camera from inside the mirror. Present day, the rumors never stopped. No similar cases have been officially recorded since 1994. But on paranormal forums and Reddit, people still report eerie events. Someone standing behind a mirror, or visible only in reflections, then disappearing days later. A popular Reddit post from 2021. I'm a psychiatric nurse. My patients described the same woman. No shadow, no eyes, but always in the mirror when they wake up at night. I didn't believe them until I saw her myself, and I don't remember that moment anymore. If someone only exists to be seen by you, would you dare turn around? And if you're the last person to see me, will you survive? What would you do if you got a message from a dead person's phone number? A college student in Phoenix dies under eerie circumstances. No suspect, no wounds, no explanation. 2 years later, his ex-girlfriend begins receiving messages every Sunday at 3:12 a.m. The texts know things only he knew, and they're sent from nowhere. So the real question is, who's texting from the other side of death? Text messages from the dead. Phoenix, Arizona, USA, 2007 to 2009, unresolved case file. The story below is taken from case file AZ PHX 0793, opened in April 2007 by the Phoenix Police Department. Details involving phone data and message contents were confirmed through technical reports from AT&T and FBI Region 9. While there was no official conclusion about the cause of death, the case was closed in 2009 with the note, "No further actionable evidence available." However, the strange part didn't begin when the victim died, but 2 years later, when the first messages started appearing and no one, not even the carrier, could explain their source. April 12, 2007, police received a call from neighbors reporting a foul odor coming from apartment 4F at Brookhill Court, Phoenix. When officers forced entry, they discovered the body of Nathan O'Connor, 23, a senior information systems student. At Arizona State University, his body was found kneeling, slumped inside the closet. The closet door was locked from the inside. No blood, no wounds, no signs of poisoning. His phone was shattered, SIM card deactivated. His right hand tightly clutched a broken wristwatch. The autopsy showed time of death around 3 a.m. cardiac. Arrest due to unknown causes. No drugs, no pre-existing conditions. The coroner concluded, death by sudden cardiac failure of unexplained origin. Nathan's mother, Helen, never believed it was suicide. He always slept with the lights on. That night, the power went out. Three months after the funeral, Nathan's ex-girlfriend, Emily Carter, 22, came to the police with printed pages and data from Google Voice. These included dozens of unsent drafts written from Nathan's account in the 3 weeks before his death. The messages were frantic. Something's wrong. The fridge turns on even when unplugged. I hear someone in the living room, but no one's there. If you get this message, I didn't make it. Please don't open the closet. Emily said. She broke up with Nathan because he'd started talking to something invisible every night. But what terrified her most, Nathan's Google Voice account had been deleted after his death, yet the draft data still existed. On April 12, 2009, exactly 2 years after Nathan's death, Emily received a message from his old number. It was a single word, hello. She thought it was a prank. But after checking the SIM and phone number, AT&T confirmed the number had been permanently deactivated in 2007. The source couldn't be identified. The following week, exactly at 3:12 a.m., she received another message. Are you asleep yet? What chilled her? She had just texted a friend 1 minute earlier. She was awake, and no one else knew that. Emily began printing and saving each message. Within 2 months, she had received over 30 texts, all between 3:10 to 3:15 a.m. every Sunday. Someone standing at the door. I heard you crying. You shouldn't have thrown away that shirt. Every message referenced private details only Nathan would know. The shirt she tossed, the cat hiding under the bed, the song he used to play when sick. She reported it to the police. They traced the IP address of each message. Strangely, all of them led to the same physical address, apartment 4F, where Nathan died. That unit had been vacant since 2007. In August 2009, Emily received a 274-character message, the longest so far. It read like a monologue. I don't remember when I died. Only the sound of the closet door shutting. Then cold. So cold I couldn't breathe. Everything dimmed. No light. No way out. It ended with, why did they lock the door from the outside? Emily panicked. Police advised her to stop using that number. She changed SIM cards. But no matter how often she changed numbers, the messages still arrived. Same time, same words. The FBI joined the investigation and worked with AT&T to review the switch network. They noticed something eerie. Each time Emily received a message, the nearby cell tower at Brook Hill lost signal for exactly 7 seconds, and during those 7 seconds, no devices within a 500-meter radius were recorded sending data. The data simply appeared. Without a sender, an AT&T engineer named Ruben Lang wrote in his report, "It's like there's a ghost phone embedded in the system. No SIM, no registration, no power source. Yet it exists, only at 3:12 a.m. By late October 2009, Emily moved away from Phoenix. But the messages followed her to Denver. They grew stranger. "People here have no faces. Tom is stuck. I don't know how long it's been." On November 12th, the final message came. "If you hear this, tell someone. I don't want to be the last." After that, the messages stopped. The FBI closed the case in 2010 with one sentence. Source of transmission could not be identified. File inactive. If you received a message from someone who died, would you dare to reply? Have you ever felt that something else is living in your house, watching in silence? The Reynolds family lived peacefully for years, until they discovered they were never alone. A man with no name, no trace, and no identity had been there before them, and he never left. The Whisperer Beneath the Floorboards. Bangor, Maine, USA, 1999 to 2003, unresolved case. The following story is based on real case file #me014, BGR archived at the Bangor Police Department, Maine. The file includes internal footage from hidden security cameras installed by the homeowner, testimonies from neighbors, and forensic reports. The Reynolds family disappeared in March 2003. Though the case was closed as a presumed voluntary disappearance, physical evidence at the scene indicated that an unidentified man had secretly lived inside the house for nearly 4 years, without the family's knowledge. The chilling truth: he never left. The Reynolds family moved from Boston to the small town of Bangor, nestled deep within the northern forests of Maine. They chose a quaint 2-story wooden house with a large backyard, a basement dug below, and an old wooden ventilation shaft leading from the basement to the upper rooms. The house, built in 1938, once served as a hunting lodge and had been abandoned for nearly 2 decades. Mark Reynolds, a retired mechanical engineer, sought a quiet place to write his memoir. His wife, Carla, taught part-time online. Their daughter, Emma, 7 years old, enjoyed playing in the woods behind the house. The first week passed peacefully. But from the second week onward, strange things began to occur. Food vanished from the kitchen inexplicably. Wind chimes rang at midnight without wind, and sometimes, around midnight, all 3 family members heard a faint hissing sound from beneath the floorboards. One night, Carla found that a cookie jar she had just sealed was mysteriously half empty. Oddly, the lid was still tightly closed and bore only her fingerprints. Mark suggested either she or Emma had forgotten, but it didn't stop there. Each morning, the sofa showed signs of being sat on. The lamp flickered despite new bulbs. Emma, the little girl, began talking about a new friend. Seth sits under the floor. He tells me stories, but he said I shouldn't let Mom and Dad see him. Mark and Carla dismissed it as a child's imagination, until one day, Carla saw a floorboard door that wasn't part of the house design slightly ajar in the living room. It was then she began to fear they weren't alone. In October 2000, Mark secretly installed 4 hidden infrared cameras in the house. One in the living room, one in the kitchen, one in Emma's bedroom, and one aimed at the ventilation shaft in the basement. For 3 weeks, nothing appeared. But on the night of November 2nd, while reviewing the footage, Mark froze in terror at 2:47 a.m. From the basement camera, a human figure slowly crawled out of the vent shaft using elbows and knees. A tall, emaciated man, skin pale green, shirtless, hunched back, long stringy hair covering most of his face. He moved on all fours like an animal. Completely silent, he crept into the kitchen, gently opened the cupboard, took an apple, then returned the same way, vanishing as if he had never been there. Mark rewound the footage dozens of times. It wasn't doctored, but the most horrifying detail, he had personally measured that shaft. No adult could possibly fit through it. Rather than call the police, Mark added more cameras and kept watching. The figure appeared once a week, always at 2:47 a.m., following the same routine, emerging from the basement floor, creeping into the kitchen, walking past the family's bedrooms, and vanishing without a trace. On the 4th appearance, the camera caught faint whispers. "I was here first. I was here first. You can't see me, but I see you. I'll be the last one left." Emma grew quiet. She barely slept and often mumbled in her dreams. Carla panicked. One morning, when she discovered their wedding photo on the floor, Mark's face had been torn out, wrapped in newspaper, and hidden beneath the kitchen cabinet. Emma told her mother, "Seth says when no one's left to play, he'll play alone. Don't go into the basement, Mommy. It's darker than death." One night, Carla woke up and found Emma missing from bed. She discovered the child crouched on the floor, face pressed to the vent shaft. When Carla pulled her away, Emma whispered, "He's telling a story. He misses the sound of me crying." Mark became increasingly paranoid. He hung crucifixes all over the house, stuffed aluminum, foil in every vent. But regardless of what they did, at 2:47 every night, the soft scratching returned from beneath the floor. On March 19th, 2003, neighbors noticed the Reynolds family had not been seen for days. Lights remained on throughout the night. The water tap ran continuously. The front door was slightly ajar. Police entered the house. Inside, breakfast sat unfinished. On the table, a pot had boiled dry on the stove. The landline receiver hung off its cradled NO blood. No signs of struggle. No one was there. Inside the cabinet under the stairs, officers found a yellowing envelope containing a handwritten note. "He never left. I was just the renter. This house was never ours. It belongs to him." All cameras had been removed. The hard drives were missing. 3 weeks later, during a forensic survey of the house using ground-penetrating radar, investigators discovered a hidden hollow space not shown on the official floor plan. Breaking through the basement floor, they found a narrow tunnel less than 70 centimeters wide, just big enough for someone to crawl using their elbows. The end was a cramped room about 5 square meters wide, with no light, no doors, and no way out. Inside, they found a filthy mattress with human hair and dried blood, a wooden bowl containing old cookies, the charcoal drawing of 3 faceless people lying on the floor with a giant black figure behind them, mouth stretched wide, no eyes there. Was no DNA match, no fingerprints, no identity. He had never existed till this day. The Reynolds family has never been found. If a whisper called out from beneath your floorboards every night at the exact same hour, would you dare lean down just to hear it more clearly? The story ends here, but the mystery still lingers somewhere out there, hiding in the dark. Thank you for listening all the way to the end. If you felt a chill down your spine, don't forget to subscribe, turn on the bell, and share this story. We'll meet again in the next night with another mystery. Good night.